All right, welcome. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for attending our workshop on Westinghouse's AI solutions. I'm Mike Drudy, Director of Digital Optimization Solutions. I've been with Westinghouse for over 17 years now. I've started as an engineer, but I've always been interested in data analytics and automation. That eventually got me into artificial intelligence, where I had the honor to lead the development of Westinghouse's data and AI organization. And currently, I am one of the leaders within Westinghouse responsible for introducing our AI solutions to our customers. Okay, so let's just start off with a simple question. How much time do you think your engineers spend collecting and managing the data that they need to do their job? One of the great things about nuclear is that we're very data rich. We document everything. But what that can lead to is information overload and data dispersed between many multiple systems, making it hard to actually access that data. In conversations with our customers, engineers can spend up to just 30% of their time collecting and cleaning the data that they need to do their job. That cost, really non-value added costs, can add up very quickly when you're looking at the entire engineering staff over just a 2-unit site. And we see this problem even getting larger. We look at the rapid pace that nuclear is expected to grow, and the workforce is struggling to keep up with training highly skilled and experienced engineers. So how many of us have been in this situation? You're ready to start off your day, full of energy, ready to jump in everything, and you immediately hit a wall. You don't have the information you need. You need to start looking through your document management systems. You need to start emailing people to make sure that you actually have the information that you need to do your job. Now, imagine if you had a nuclear engineering expert, AI assistant, with you the whole time. It knows what you're working on, so it's context aware, bringing to light key information to help you do your job, and even drafting, taking the first draft and creating that for you. This is where we're introducing our CMIS application to our customers. In the United States, about 50% of the US utilities currently use CMIS. It is an application used by the engineering and licensing teams to develop engineering deliverables, engineering change packages, calculation notes, and performing licensing evaluations. CMIS integrates with the customer's systems like Enterprise Asset Management System, Document Management System, and other key sources of information, pulling it all together for the engineers. And it also is configurable to align with the customer's in-plant procedures. So it also helps automate the entire process, making sure that the engineers stay in compliance with the plant procedures and automating the workflow. We've recently embedded our Bertha AI assistant directly into CMIS, further streamlining and supporting the customers in developing their engineering deliverables. Okay, so we're going to see Bertha in action in CMIS. This is a video of an engineer going through a scenario where there's an issue with the turbine control system. And this engineer has been tasked with preparing the engineering change package to upgrade that. Within CMIS, Bertha is directly integrated into it. So you'll see on the bottom right-hand corner the Bertha AI Assistant button, which brings up the chat interface. Many times, especially new engineers, they struggle with understanding what additional functional groups could be impacted by their design change. In this case, Bertha has access to all their historical engineering change packages, the plant-specific procedures, and industry standards. Brings it all to light instantly. You can see here, we built in different ways to be very transparent to the engineer with what information it's searching for and how it's bringing to light, because we always want to make sure that the engineer ultimately agrees with the results before they take action. Now that the engineer sees the results of the recommendations of what functional groups could be impacted, since it's directly built into CMIS, the engineer just is following the prompt with what they agree and selecting the functional groups that are impacted. This will then go into the automated workflow as the engineering change package is developed for those functional groups to review and approve the eventual change. Another key area that is very time-consuming and manual is the licensing evaluation. Licensing evaluation documents, the updated safety analysis report can be thousands of pages, over 3,000 pages long. It can be very time-consuming to reviewing all that. In an instant, they asked what sections of the safety analysis report could be impacted by this change, and it quickly brought to light all the different sections that are impacted. In other cases, during emergent issues, sometimes you can't always get the right people that you need to ask a question. With Bertha embedded into the customer's data, it is an engineering expert across many functions. In this case, they're asking about seismic impacts, and it's bringing to light all of that historical information based on the plant. Now we're getting into solution mode. So what type of temporary modification can we implement to mitigate this before we actually perform the turbine control system upgrade? You can see here it's giving multiple options for the different modifications that the engineer can consider, giving information around how long that could be take. Again, bringing to light all that key information for the engineer to quickly make a decision on which direction to take. And finally, we built Bertha with an agentic framework. What that means is we can build customized tools that Bertha can use automatically. In this example, we built a simple calculator to help the engineer provide an example of the turbine output based on those calculations. But that's just the beginning. If you think about Westinghouse and our engineering methodologies, we can build tools directly into CMIS, Bertha, that automates the execution of engineering methodologies and calculations beyond just a simple calculator. As I mentioned, we can also integrate with our customers' third-party systems, but we also know that sometimes that is time-consuming. So we've also built in the capability of building out what we call knowledge bases, so you can bring your own data in there and get instant benefits of using Bertha while your IT department is making the hard connections to those systems. So we've seen Bertha in action for CMIS, but CMIS is actually just part of a broader ecosystem that we're building out called our OptiLife platform. Our OptiLife platform is bringing together applications focused on plant reliability optimization, procurement engineering and obsolescence management, inventory analytics, digital work management, and the newest addition to the OptiLife platform is our training solutions. So if we take a bird's eye view of the OptiLife platform, starting on the left-hand side in the green boxes are all our applications focused on plant reliability optimization. We now have the capability to ingest sensor data to perform online condition monitoring. All of that data can be fed into the next phase, which we use to optimize the equipment reliability, as well as the maintenance optimization. In one of the customer sites that we've been working with for several years now, a 2-unit site, they're already up to $30 million in life of plant savings from us improving their reliability, but also optimizing the cost of how they perform their preventive maintenance. When you change the maintenance strategy, you're changing the demand signal for your work in your plant, right? So going down to the left-hand side, first, based on that demand change signal, you we have obsolescence management tools and procurement engineering tools to streamline how the plant is managing obsolescence and actually procuring the parts that they need at the right time. That data is also valuable in understanding how much stock do you really need to carry on hand. Many customers that we have talked to overbuy stock because they don't have clear insights of when they actually need to procure those spare parts. With the insights that we have with connecting our applications through the OptiLife platform, we provide better visibility in what type of parts you need to buy and when. And then you get into digital work management. We already talked about CMIS, but as the plant goes and prepares for the work, we have Works, which is our electronic work package application, and Proceed, which is our electronic procedures for the operator and field services to perform the procedures in the field. This data is very important. This as-found data that's collected in the field, we actually feed that back into our plant reliability optimization to take advantage of all that data on the health of the equipment when it's actually inspected and maintained. And our vision of where we're going in the future is embedding Bertha not just in these individual applications, but at the entire platform level. So you can see here the homepage of our OptiLife platform. Again, the Bertha AI assistant. And where we're going with this is where Bertha sits at the platform level and has access to the key applications that the customers are using within their plant, where if someone asks the same type of question about the turbine control, it's going to bring up suggestions on engineering change packages in CMIS. Maybe it reaches out into our parts marketplace and provides information on what type of parts are available. And in this case, it's saying that some operator procedures are impacted and refer to the plant application to update your training materials and your associated procedures. So Plant is our newest addition to the OptiLife platform. It is used by our instructors to create, manage, and deliver interactive training. We're getting the instructor out of the PowerPoint nightmare and providing better configuration control tools to make them more efficient at managing the train content so they can focus most of their time on the value added, which is actually training the employees. Again, with all the demand in nuclear, the workforce is struggling to keep up with training these employees. And again, we're getting them out of PowerPoint, so it provides an overall better experience for the actual trainee, making it more interactive. So a little bit more information on how Plant works. So if you're the instructor, you have a lot of training content that you need to manage. This training content is all connected into your learning objectives, which is eventually feed down into the actual lesson plans that are used to train the employees. You can just imagine that as this grows and for our plants, it's a web of interconnectivity and can be a very big challenge, especially if you're using something like PowerPoint to maintain configuration control efficiently. Again, taking a lot of time away from the instructor rather than them teaching the students. So as we walk through this video, this is a diagram for the residual heat removal logic. You'll see that the user's clicking through the different switches. Again, this is interactive, and this is what the student would be able to see to have a better visualization of how this logic diagram works in the real world when certain parameters are selected. As I mentioned before, this logic diagram is used in multiple system lesson plans and then in multiple different courses for the licensed operator, non-licensed operator. Now, if you were in PowerPoint, you would need to update this logic diagram and figure out which files you need to go to manage this. Plant brings that all to light. You can see in the dependencies, the user is showing how in the system lessons plan, it easily provides that reference so you can see exactly where this logic diagram is used within those lesson plans. It then provides the additional linkage into the actual training content that is used for the different personas within the plant. In this case, we're focused on the licensed operator and the non-licensed operator system lesson plan. So let's start to change this logic diagram. The author has already made the change to the logic diagram where we've added in a couple hand switches. And now what we want to do after they check the interactivity is we want to then easily propagate that change throughout the entire course curriculum with one click of a button. So what the user is going to be doing is they're going to be committing this change so that plant understands that this is now the latest revision for this logic diagram. What that will do is actually cascade a series of notifications so the user is identified of which training material is impacted so that they can manually approve the change rather than just automatically propagating that. We still want to have the human in the loop to make sure that they're aware of the change and that they ultimately commit that. You'll see here that the user is showing how it is easily outlining the dependencies and this logic diagram, the current version that is used within the training content, and the latest version that is available for the update. So as the user goes through, again, just showing how it is all interconnected, what they will eventually be doing is simply clicking on that updated button. And then with the click of a button, all your training material is automatically updated. Again, no longer do they need to go through PowerPoint, dig through all the files, and manually copy and paste these changes into their training content. Again, allowing them to focus on the real value-added work, which is training their employees. So in summary, we built CMIS to streamline our engineering and licensing teams for our customers. We're directly embedding Bertha into those applications to really provide them more power and get their time back. We've introduced our new plant application, which is used to support our instructors and really focusing on that value-added work of training those employees. And we're building out the OptiLife platform to connect it all and layering in Bertha on top of that to further empower those engineers. I want to thank you for your time, and I think I will be over there, and looking forward to the conversation and questions you may have.